Heartwarming discovery. This one surprising vitamin increases stroke risk for seniors by 50. Martha was knee-deep in flour and sugar, surrounded by the sweet scents of summer berries and buttery crusts. The annual town fair was just around the corner, and her famed pies, a tightly guarded secret passed down through generations, were her ticket to community fame. But as she rolled the last dough for her blueberry pie, her heart skipped a beat. The newspaper headline blared, and panic gripped her. This one vitamin, harmless to many, could spell disaster for seniors. Her mind raced. Could she be one of those? Days blurred into a mix of baking and unease, but the fair's excitement permeated the small, rural town. Children laughed, vendors cheered, and the smell of kettle corn mingled with the warm evening breeze. Each pie she prepped felt heavier, filled with unsaid fears. Martha knew she would have to tell someone, to be honest about her health studies, but the thought of burdening her only son, Jake, who had left for the city chasing the American dream, taunted her. Would he understand, or would it stir up the old feelings of abandonment she hoped to leave behind? Mr. Thompson, her neighbor, had been a quiet comfort through the storm. Over mugs of steaming coffee, he shared tales from his youth, memories of loss and resilience. Martha, he'd say, you've nurtured this town. It's time to let them care for you too. But every heartfelt word left her feeling more isolated. She felt the weight of truth pulling her under. Just when she found the courage to speak out, the unthinkable happened. Jake returned for the fair. The sight of him on her porch, stormy-eyed, ignited old wounds. A confrontation brewed, boiling beneath the surface like the pies baking in her oven. They exchanged cutting words that echoed the hurt of years apart, each sentence an unraveling of emotions: frustration, sadness, love swirling around them. The fair buzzed around them, a vivid backdrop to their heartaches. Suddenly, amid the laughter of children and music from the bandstand, Martha clutched her chest, gasping for breath. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The vibrant lights of the fair dimmed in her eyes, as she teetered on the edge of everything she'd held back. Would her heart stop before she could mend what was broken? As Jake rushed to her side, uncertainty hung in the air. All the secrets, fears, and love they held threatened to spill out, waiting for the tiniest spark to ignite. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Time slowed as the crowd froze, eyes wide in shock. Martha's heart raced, not just from fear, but from the surge of unresolved emotions at the fair's climax. Melody intertwined with silence as she lay there, surrounded by the liveliness of the fairgrounds, uncertain if she could ever find the strength to bridge the chasms of their fractured bond. Would Jake grasp the reins of reconciliation, or would old fears push them further apart? The answer waited to reveal itself, lost in the heart of the town, where hope shimmered amidst the darkness. The fair's cacophony faded into a distant hum as Jake knelt beside his mother, panic radiating off him like heat waves. "Mom! Mom, can you hear me?" His voice was a mix of terror and urgency. With trembling hands, he stroked her hair back from her forehead, tears gathering in his eyes, blurring his vision. The world around them moved in slow motion. Bystanders whispered and craned necks, while the music continued to play, almost mocking the gravity of the moment. Martha's breath came shallow, weighed down by both fear and unspoken words. In that fleeting second, everything she had bottled up spilled forth into the air, even if her lips remained sealed. "Somebody! Get a doctor!" Jake shouted, his desperation palpable. In the chaos, he felt the old rift between them widen, like an abyss. This was not how he had imagined their reunion. The fair was supposed to be a celebration, a chance to reconnect over her legendary pies, not a terrifying glimpse of loss. As the ambulance sirens wailed in the distance, his own fears clawed at him. What if he couldn't reach her in time? What if she had kept too many secrets for too long? Regret flooded through him. He had chased dreams and left her behind, thinking she would be okay. But would he ever forgive himself if something happened now? Martha fought to push through the haze. Voices surrounding her began to merge, forming a single, muted chorus. She could feel Jake's cool hands on hers, grounding her, yet the memories of their past battled with the urgency of the moment. All she wanted was to reach out, to tell him she was scared, to confess that health issues loomed larger than any pie recipe. Instead, she felt trapped between the woman he'd known and the one she'd become. "Mom, don't you dare leave me." Jake's voice shattered her thoughts. Tears fell freely from his eyes, and Martha wanted to tell him everything would be fine, to reassure him that she wasn't going anywhere. But all she could manage was a feeble squeeze of his hand, a thin line of connection that hung by a thread. The paramedics arrived, shifting the crowd and forming a small sanctuary around them. They worked quickly, calling out instructions, asking for information. Jake moved closer, ready to shield his mother from the bustling world. "Just hold on, please. Just hold on," he whispered, prepared to offer pieces of his life if that could save her. As they loaded Martha onto the stretcher, the bright lights of the fair flickered overhead, a stark contrast to the dark fears settling in his chest. He felt like he had failed her, like running away had severed their bond instead of strengthening it. Each pie she must be made during his absence was a symbol of the love he took for granted. "Can I go with her?" Jake's voice was filled with desperate authority. "Please, I can't let her go alone." The paramedic nodded, and as they wheeled Martha toward the ambulance, he climbed on board beside her. The doors shut with a heavy thud, isolating them from the bright lights and shouts of the fair. In that small space, time felt elastic, stretching and bending around them. He grasped her hand tightly. "Mom, I need you to stay with me," he breathed, a surge of hope and fear battling inside him. "Let us face this together." But deep down, he wondered if it was too late. Could they mend their broken ties? Or was this moment merely the beginning of something darker? As the ambulance sped away, the scent of summer berries and baked goods faded into the distance, leaving behind a profound silence that resonated with unanswered questions. In the back of his mind, a flickering thought urged him forward. Would the truth set them free, or tear them apart forever? Jake clutched his mother's hand as the ambulance rocked gently, the sirens a piercing reminder of the urgency in the air. Martha's eyes fluttered weakly, but her gaze lingered on Jake's face, searching for recognition. He leaned closer, desperate to imprint this moment in his mind, the warmth of her skin beneath his touch, the familiar scent of her floral perfume mixed with antiseptic. "Martha," one of the paramedics said, snapping Jake back to reality, "can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can." He watched intently as the man gave her instructions, hoping for even the smallest response. Silence stretched, almost unbearable, until Martha managed to nod slightly, squeezing Jake's hand instead. "I'm here, Mom," he reassured her, feeling a flood of relief course through him. "Just stay with me." The ride felt endless, each bump in the road a reminder of the fragility of their situation. Jake's mind raced with memories, frozen moments of laughter at the dinner table, the smell of fresh pies cooling as they chatted about everything and nothing. How had they lost that connection? "Jake," Martha whispered, her voice fragile. In that single word hung a lifetime of unspoken truths. "Mom, please, just rest," he urged. His own fear began to bubble over as he searched her face, almost pleading with her as if willing her to fight. The ambulance finally pulled into the hospital parking lot, the overhead lights illuminating the night sky as they whirled into chaos. Suddenly, he felt his world tilting again. Everything around him was a whirlwind. Paramedics rushed in, pulling Martha away on the stretcher. Jake was about to follow when a nurse stepped in his path. "Sir, wait here. We need some time to assess her condition." "No. I need to be with her." The words fell from his mouth with the force of a wave crashing into the shore, raw and uncontrollable. "We'll do everything we can," she said, but her voice was already fading as they wheeled Martha around the corner, leaving him standing there, his heart thudding against his ribs. As the minutes slipped away, Jake paced like a caged animal, his thoughts relentless. What if? What if he had been there? What if he hadn't left? He leaned against the cool wall, breathing deeply, trying to anchor himself in the moment. But all he could see was his mother's face, pale and worn, and a deep ache settled into the pit of his stomach. A soft voice shattered the silence. "Are you Jake?" He turned to see a doctor, her expression serious yet kind. She held a clipboard tightly, as if it contained the answers to everything he feared. "How is she?" Jake asked, each word weighted with desperation. "She is stable for now, but there is something you need to know. Her condition is serious. We need to discuss her treatment options." Treatment's words that echoed ominously in his mind. His heart raced again as he followed her to a quiet room, his mind flashing with questions and fears over the possibilities. What had she been hiding? As he took a seat, he realized he'd been holding his breath. He needed answers, but the reality of the situation began to press down on him. The truth had a way of shifting the ground beneath them. The doctor began to speak, but Jake interrupted, a surge of intensity lighting his eyes. "I want to understand everything, please. I need to know how to help her." The doctor nodded solemnly, knowing the weight of words unspoken. "There are decisions to make." Just like that, the path lay before him, tangled and uncertain. Could he face the truth? Would the revelation bring them closer, or would it set them further apart? As he leaned in, a sobering thought crossed his mind. What if the answers he sought were more than he could bear? The questions hung over him, heavy and ominous, like storm clouds threatening to burst. In the heart of that hospital, Jake was poised on the brink of understanding. He needed to know if they had the power to rebuild their fragile bond, or if they were destined to be swept away by the truths they had avoided for so long. The moment of clarity approached, veiled in uncertainty. Jake straightened in his chair as the doctor took a deep breath, bracing himself. "Martha has been diagnosed with a serious condition, advanced heart disease, compounded by high blood pressure. It's why she collapsed." The words tumbled into the space between them, heavy and unyielding. "Heart disease," Jake murmured, the phrase bouncing around his mind like a pinball. "But she seemed fine, just tired. How could this happen?" He clenched his fists, a mix of anger and disbelief surging through him. The doctor's expression softened. "Many people don't experience symptoms until it's too late. That's why we need to talk about treatment options, medications, lifestyle changes, possibly surgery, and yes, there are risks involved." Jake's heart sank. Surgery? Just the word felt like a gaping hole in his stomach. Memories of his mother, vibrant and full of life, flooded back. The way she'd dance in the kitchen, her laughter ringing like music. What are the chances she has to go through this? The doctor leaned closer, measuring his words. "The treatment could significantly improve her quality of life, but it's important to weigh the risks. We should consider what Martha would want." Jake's mind raced as he struggled to process it all. How could they talk about what she wanted when she could barely talk at all? Panic brushed at the edges of his mind. What if she didn't want treatment? What if that decision slipped through his fingers and left him with guilt? I need to talk to her first," he said firmly, standing up. "I need her to know what is happening to decide. It's her fight." The doctor nodded, respecting his wish but nudging gently with, Just keep in mind that her condition makes it hard for her to comprehend things fully right now. She may need your support to make those decisions." Jake exhaled, feeling the weight of it all. He started to walk back toward the waiting area, anxiety buzzing in his ears like an impatient fly. He couldn't get to her fast enough. His mom, his rock, needed him to be strong. But the thought of facing her fragile state twisted something deep inside him. When he entered the room, Martha was awake, her eyes fluttering open wider at his presence. "Jake," she said, that one word laced with warmth and worry, a mother's instinct never fading even in her condition. "Hey, Mom," he said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his heart. "You scared me, you know that?" She drew her hand to her chest, her fingers trembling. "I'm sorry, sweetheart." "I didn't." The words faltered as her eyes glistened with tears. "No, don't apologize," he whispered, kneeling beside her bed. "You just focus on getting better. I can't lose you." The moments ticked by in a tense silence, and the reality of the doctor's words loomed heavy in the air around them. Jake knew there were conversations ahead that would change everything. He had to protect her, but how could he guide her through a landscape filled with fear and uncertainty? "Mom," he started cautiously, "I spoke with the doctor. We have to talk about your health, about what happened." She nodded slowly, grimacing slightly in recognition of the truth they both had to face. Before he could continue, a sudden commotion outside the room forced him to look over his shoulder. A nurse burst in, her face tight with urgency. "We need to move her to critical care. We're getting reports of something bad on the ECG." Jake's heart dropped again, fear constricting his throat. "Wait! Please!" But the nurse was already calling for assistance, and in an instant, his mom was whisked away, leaving Jake standing in the doorway, his heart racing with a mix of dread and fierce determination. He couldn't let this moment slip away. He needed to act, to gather the strength he didn't know if he had. As the distant sounds of the hospital echoed around him, he took a deep breath and resolved to do whatever it took to protect her, even if he didn't know what that would mean. Would they make it through this together? With so much at stake, Jake knew he was facing more than just a medical crisis. It was the battle for his mother's life and their future, and he wouldn't back down without fighting for her. As he sprinted after them, the question loomed: what would he have to sacrifice to keep her with him? Jake raced through the sterile, fluorescent-lit hallway, adrenaline pumping through his veins. With each hurried step, he felt the weight of his mother's life resting on his shoulders. The medical team moved efficiently around him, their seriousness amplifying the fear gripping his heart. He could barely keep pace, but he focused on the door that led to critical care, where hope mingled with dread. As he burst into the intense atmosphere of the unit, the sight was overwhelming. Nurses bustled about, machines beeped with scary urgency, and sterile smells filled the air. He felt a knot tightening in his chest. How could everything change so rapidly? A nurse noticed him, her expression resolute yet compassionate. "You'll need to wait here. We're doing everything we can." "What is happening?" Jake managed to choke out, desperation clawing at his throat. "Is she okay? I need to see my mom." "Right now, we're stabilizing her," she replied softly, her voice steady. "Just a moment, please." Jake nodded but struggled to stand still. Time hung thick around him, stretching out every heartbeat into eternity. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all he could do was watch as the team worked feverishly. He glanced at the monitor's unfamiliar lines and numbers that felt like they were mocking him. Moments felt like hours. Finally, a doctor stepped out, her features tight but her eyes clear. "Martha's stable for now, but she's in a delicate state. We've got to do some tests to determine the next steps." Relief and anxiety crashed over him like waves. "Can I see her?" "Just for a few minutes, but keep it brief. She needs to rest." Jake walked in with trepidation. His mother lay there, connected to tubes and machines, her face pale against the starkness of the hospital bed. It hurt him to see her like this. But she looked up when he entered, a flicker of recognition igniting in her eyes. "Jake," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. "Hey, Mom," he said, forcing back tears. He fought to maintain his composure for her sake. "I'm right here. You scared me, you know." Martha smiled weakly, an expression he recognized even in her current state. "I wish I could dance again," she replied, her eyes brightening momentarily despite the pain. "I know, Mom. We'll get you better. You'll be dancing in no time." But even as he said it, doubt crept in. How could he promise anything when everything felt so uncertain? "Jake," she hesitated, glancing away. "What about the doctor? What did he say?" Swallowing hard, he took her hand, feeling its fragility beneath his palm. "He said, we need to decide on treatment options. There are risks, and it could be tough." His voice trailed off as he searched her face for any sign of comprehension. "Whatever I choose, just promise no guilt, okay?" She squeezed his hand gently. A surge of emotion hit him, like a rush of cold water. He hesitated, the fear of guilt and loss looming like a dark cloud. "Mom, it's your life. I just want you to be happy, whatever that means," he said, a truth slipping from him that felt both freeing and terrifying. The moment felt like it held 1,000 questions. What did that truly mean? When it came down to it, what would make her happy? Decisions lay ahead that would carve different paths for both of them. But before he could dwell on it, a nurse re-entered the room. "Time is up, Mr. Martinez. We need to prioritize her rest." Jake nodded, his heart heavy as he leaned down, kissing Martha's forehead. "I love you, Mom. We'll get through this." She smiled, tired yet steadfast. "You can't do it alone, Jake. Remember, I'm always fighting too." As Jake walked out, wiping away the threatening tears, he felt a spark igniting within him. The uncertainty and fear were still there, but beneath it lay a growing resolve. If this was a fight, he would stand alongside her, no matter what. What sacrifices lay ahead? Would he be strong enough to protect her? Those were questions that buzzed in his mind as he prepared for what was next, fighting for the woman who had given him everything. And just as he turned the corner, a startling thought hit him. What if the answers he was seeking were not purely medical, but something deeper? Jake didn't know how long he had been standing in the waiting area. Clocks appeared to be stuck on the same minute, their ticking almost mocking his restless thoughts. He glanced around, catching the worried expressions of other families tangled in their private storms. Each face mirrored his own, a pervasive fear draped over them like a heavy blanket. His phone buzzed in his pocket, pulling him back to reality. It was a text from his sister, Mia. "How's Mom? Is she okay?" The word shot right through him, a fresh wave of stress crashing over his already fragile resolve. He quickly typed back, "She is stable for now. I'll keep you posted." As he sent the message, his mind swirled. Mia had always looked up to him, and now all he could feel was the weight of needing to protect her too. What if things took a turn for the worse? The thought curled around his heart, a tight knot constricting with every passing moment. "Mr. Martinez?" A familiar face pulled him from his spiral of thoughts. It was the same doctor who had provided him with the initial updates, her brow still etched with concern. "I wanted to discuss your mother's condition when you're ready." Jake felt a lump form in his throat but nodded. "I'm ready. How bad is it?" The doctor took a deep breath. "We've determined that your mother is facing a serious situation. She has a rare condition that requires immediate attention." Jake's heart plummeted. "Condition? What do you mean?" "It affects her blood flow and can lead to complications if we don't act quickly. We can consider surgical options, but there are risks involved." He shook his head, not wanting to grasp the magnitude of her words. "Surgical? Mom, she want that. We talked about choices. I understand, the doctor said gently, but this is a choice we need to face together. I know it's overwhelming, but you're not alone in this. Knowing she wasn't doing this alone was a small comfort. Still, doubt gnawed at him. But what if she can't handle it? The doctor regarded him with empathetic eyes. That's a possibility. We all want what is best for our loved ones, but choosing options involves risks. Remember, every choice has its weight. After a moment, Jake met her gaze. Then we'll look at all of them. I can't do this alone. Mom deserves a fighting chance. His determination surprised even himself. A resilience was emerging, fueled by his love for Martha and his promise to be there for her. He needed to know what they were facing. Beyond the numbers on charts and risks calculated by machines, there had to be more. As they discussed possible options, Jake felt something lighten within him, almost like clarity coming into focus. He realized that being a part of this decision, to stand alongside her and learn, was a commitment, a way to show that he could fight just as fiercely for her happiness. Once the conversation ended, Jake headed back to the waiting room, gripping his phone tightly. He needed to reach Mia and share what he had learned. But before he could tap her name, a nurse approached him with a question that stopped him in his tracks. "Have you given any thought about consulting with a nutritional specialist?" she asked simply, yet something about that suggestion prompted an unexplainable ripple through him. "Nutritional specialist?" Jake echoed, furrowing his brow. "What does that have to do with anything?" "Sometimes, our diets can play a crucial role in our health more than you think." And just like that, a flicker of curiosity ignited inside him, blending with the worry. Could the solutions to his mother's well-being be connected to choices that were simpler? Jake took a breath, the heaviness in his chest easing just slightly. "I'll think about it. Thank you." As he stepped back outside, sunlight warming his face, he felt the first slivers of hope. What he and the doctor hadn't considered could be right in front of him, hidden in plain sight. But just as he turned to find a quiet spot to collect his thoughts, a surge of dread mixed with excitement hit him. What if making the right decision meant challenging everything he thought he knew about health and care? The answers were waiting, and he was ready to discover them. Jake wandered outside into the warm embrace of the late afternoon sun, its golden rays casting long shadows on the pavement. For the first time that day, he felt a flicker of hope, mixed with an unsettling curiosity that buzzed in his mind. His thoughts danced between the weight of his mother's health and the unexpected suggestion of a nutritional specialist. Could a simple change in diet really be linked to her condition? Placing a hand on the cool metal railing outside, he looked up, his gaze drifting across the parking lot filled with cars. Some families were hugging each other tightly, while others were just sitting in quiet contemplation. Each one of them carried their own burdens, their own hopes, weaving a tapestry of struggle and resilience that felt unbelievably familiar. Jake pulled out his phone again and, this time, he opened the browser. The glare of the screen was blinding, but he squinted and started typing keywords. Nutritional specialist, rare blood conditions, diets and health. The results exploded in front of him, a flood of information beckoning. Each click felt like a step closer to understanding, and with every article, Jake's resolve hardened. This was not just about finding answers for his mother. It was about exploring every avenue available, especially ones he hadn't considered before. After scrolling for several minutes, his attention lingered on a headline: "The Role of Nutrition in Chronic Conditions." Heart racing, Jake clicked in. As he read about specific vitamins and their potential impacts, a shadow of worry tickled the base of his spine. The statistics surprised him. What if his mother had been missing vital nutrients? What if she didn't even know the connection between what she ate and how she felt? With each paragraph, he felt the knot in his stomach loosen, only to tighten again as he read about certain foods to avoid. Would suddenly changing her diet overwhelm her? He glanced up, searching for some form of guidance, but the crowd around him had blended into a haze of movement and emotion. The reality hit him hard. He had to be the one to initiate this change. You can't protect her from every decision, he reminded himself. Dudley, his old neighbor from college, had always said that knowledge is power, and it was time Jake wielded it. Jake's thoughts turned to Mia. He needed her support, needed someone to share this journey with. He scrolled through his contacts, tapping on her name. His fingers hovered over the send key for a moment before he typed, "Hey, I think there is something we need to talk about regarding Mom's care. Can we meet up soon?" He hit send and felt a surge of anxiety rush over him. Would she understand? Maybe she would be just as skeptical as he had been at first. Then the worry fuzzed into determination. "It's your mom, too," he muttered to himself, conviction rising. She deserved every chance to be healthy, to feel better. Just then, the nurse from earlier stepped outside, smiling gently as she approached him. "Mr. Martinez, I'm glad to see you out here." "Thank you," he replied, finding comfort in her presence. "Your suggestion about a nutritional specialist, it made me think." The nurse nodded, her eyes twinkling with encouragement. "It can be a big part of recovery. Many families are surprised by what they can learn. Remember, knowledge really can shift things." Jake felt a warmth bloom in his chest. "I'm ready to learn. We can't just leave it to the doctors. I want to take an active role in her recovery." "I admire your dedication," she said softly, glancing briefly at the hospital entrance as if sensing the weight of his emotions. "But make sure you care for yourself too. It's a lot to carry." "Yeah, I know," Jake said, his voice hitching a little. "Thanks." She offered a brief smile before moving back inside. Alone again, he felt a mix of exhilaration and fear. Could he truly navigate this path? As he remembered his mother's warm laughter, shimmering through his memory like sunlight filtering through leaves, he pushed through the uncertainty. Jake took a deep breath, ready to dive into this new journey, where nutrition could lead to surprises, changes, and maybe even healing. The sun warmed his shoulder, its comfort urging him forward. What if the answer not only lay in medical intervention, but was interwoven with their meals and family traditions? As he turned to head back inside, he knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning. And the discoveries awaiting him were shrouded in the very things he had taken for granted. What would those discoveries reveal? Jake entered the hospital, the familiar scent of antiseptics, and the faint sound of beeping machines wrapping around him like a heavy cloak. His pulse quickened. Each step toward his mother's room felt significant, charged with new possibilities. He was on a mission now, not just to care for her, but to advocate for her. To fight for every shred of her health he could grasp. He reached the door and hesitated for a moment. He wanted to surprise her with good news. Dedication, empowerment, hope, these words spiraled in his mind. He opened the door slowly and found his mother, Clara, propped against the pillows. Her face lit up when she saw him. "Jake, there you are," she smiled weakly, the kind of smile that made his heart ache. "I was just thinking about you." "Just got back from a little exploration," he said, trying to keep his tone light. He pulled a chair closer and sat down. "I've been talking to some people about you." "Oh." Her eyebrows rose slightly, curiosity overshadowing her fatigue. "The nurse has this great idea about nutritional specialists. It's about what we eat, Mom. I found out they can really make a difference with health, maybe even yours." She shifted, uncertainty flickering across her face. "But Jake, I don't know much about that stuff. What if I can't stick to it?" "Mom, that is the thing." He leaned forward, clutching her hand. "This isn't just strict rules. It's about finding what works for you, the foods you love. It's about making small changes together. We can explore new recipes. We can do it as a team. I don't want to burden you with this." Her voice cracked just a bit, hinting at a mother's instinct to shield her child from worry. "You're not a burden. You're my mom," he insisted. "You carried so much for us, and now it's my turn. I want to help. I can't just sit helplessly waiting for things to change. Our meals mean more than just eating. I want to make them count." She squeezed his hand, emotion welling in her eyes. "All right. I'll try, but only if you promise we can pick meals you like too." "Deal. Let us just explore some creative options," he grinned, a lightness rising within him. "I found this article about a few foods that could be really good for you. And we might have to cut out some snacks." "Cutting out snacks?" She frowned playfully, feigning horror, though he could see the corners of her mouth twitching with amusement. Just for a while Jake laughed, relieved to see a glimmer of her old spirit. "But not forever. We'll turn it into something fun. Trust me." As Jake began discussing the ideas he had stumbled upon earlier, Clara's initial hesitance transformed into genuine interest. Her smile deepened, and he watched a warmth grow in her face as they shared stories about family recipes, their memories wrapped in the flavors of their dishes. "I remember the time you burned the lasagna and insisted it was extra crispy." She chuckled, and they both laughed, the tension dissolving in the comfort of shared memories. Suddenly Jake's phone buzzed, pulling him from their moment. It was a text from Mia. "I can meet tomorrow afternoon. Let us talk." The decision to include her felt significant, like weaving another thread into their planned tapestry of care. "Mom, what if we get Mia involved? She could help with ideas too." "Of course." Clara nodded eagerly. She always did love to cook. The prospect of a united front lifted Jake's spirits. He realized they were embarking on a journey that would be more than just about health. This was about family, about love, resilience, the ingredients that held them all together. As Jake observed his mother's renewed sense of purpose, he felt a fresh wave of determination. They would dive into this world of nutrition together, and he would ensure that no matter how uncertain the path felt, they would walk it side by side. Yet, in the back of his mind loomed the question, what if the changes they made unearthed the real truth about his mother's condition? What if, in trying to heal her, deeper issues lay waiting to be revealed? Jake took a deep breath, his heart racing at the possibilities, as he tightened his grip around his mother's hand. Tomorrow was a new day, and with it, a new chapter in their lives would begin. But what surprises awaited them in the journey of discovery? The next morning arrived too quickly for Jake. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting soft rays across the room. He breathed deeply, ready to embrace the day. Today was crucial. He glanced at his mother, who still slept soundly, her chest rising and falling in a rhythm that soothed him. After a quick shower and some breakfast comprised of his mother's favorite fruit, he grabbed his phone and sent Mia a text. "I'm on my way. Ready to get started?" Her reply was instant. "Absolutely. Can't wait to brainstorm some ideas with you both." With a strength that surprised him, Jake felt hope blossom within him as he headed to the hospital. Each step felt lighter, fueled by both love and anticipation. Upon arriving, he found Clara awake, her hair tousled but a smile already blossoming on her face. "Morning, sweetheart. You look energized." "Yeah, I think I am," he replied, a grin spreading across his face. "Mia is coming to help us with our meal plan. I was thinking we could start with that quinoa salad recipe I found." "Quinoa? That sounds fancy." Clara chuckled, her blue eyes sparkling. "I can already tell I'm going to love this new adventure." Just then, a sharp knock on the door interrupted their exchange. Mia entered, her vibrant energy filling the room. "Good morning, you two." She held a stack of papers in one hand and a basket of fruits in the other. "Morning, Mia," they both called out. Jake felt a rush of gratitude watching them connect. Mia went straight to Clara and embraced her gently, like a sister would, her warmth distinct. "So, I hear we're starting a nutrition revolution today," she exclaimed. "That's the plan," Jake added, his heart swelling at the unity in the room. They gathered around Clara's bed, papers strewn about, as they discussed options and shared excited ideas. As they flipped through recipes and nutritional advice, Jake's enthusiasm grew. He watched Clara lean in, a lively spirit emerging as Mia presented colorful dishes, each seemingly better than the last. "Look at this." Mia pointed excitedly at a vibrant image in one of the magazines. "Roasted sweet potatoes, black beans, and avocado. It's packed with everything good. And so filling." Clara nodded, her eyes brightening. "That does sound delicious." Yet beneath the excitement, there lurked a shadow of uncertainty. Jake felt compelled to remind them about caution. "You know, we need to be careful with continuous changes. Small steps are better, right?" Mia agreed. "Absolutely. We can introduce new ingredients slowly. Make it enjoyable, not overwhelming." As they settled on a few recipes, Mia suddenly looked serious. "I read something concerning the other day. There are specific vitamin levels that can significantly impact health, especially for seniors." "What do you mean?" Clara looked wary, clutching Jake's hand. "Some studies suggest that too much of certain vitamins can increase the risk of health issues, like strokes," Mia explained, her voice a blend of concern and support. "It's important we balance these changes." Clara's expression shifted, a flicker of worry crossing her face. "Jake, what if I need something else? Something I don't know about?" He felt his heart lurch. "Mom, none of us wants to make it worse. We'll take this step by step. If we notice anything off, we can consult with the doctor." Mia nodded, her supportive gaze falling on Clara. "I'm here for you both. I'll help make sure we're doing everything right." As the moment settled, Jake looked back and forth between the two women, two pillars in his life, facing uncertainty together. Despite the weight of Mia's revelation, he saw the bond strengthening among them. They were fighting together, gathering the knowledge they needed, and it felt right. Yet another thought nagged at Jake. What if this journey revealed more truths than he was ready for? What if, in becoming more aligned with Clara's needs, they uncovered something far more distressing? "Mom," he whispered softly, "we'll handle whatever comes our way." Together. They shared a moment, a precious understanding between them, as Jake squeezed Clara's hand tightly. Tomorrow might bring challenges, but today he felt ready to take that first step. What awaited them in that tangled web of health and secrets yet to be unveiled? As the sun stretched higher in the sky, the hospital room thrummed with a new energy. Jake leaned into the shared moments of excitement with Mia and Clara, bolstered by laughter and ideas buzzing like summer bees. They flipped through the stack of magazines and recipe books, each vibrant photo sparking something joyful within Clara's eyes. "How about we make these quinoa patties for lunch?" Jake suggested, the sound of his voice making him feel lighter. "I read they're easy to prepare, and they'll be packed with nutrients." Clara nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, and we can add some baked veggies on the side. I love a colorful plate." Mia smiled, jotting down their choices. "Let us keep things vibrant and delicious. Eating well can really boost your mood too, Mom." The encouragement flowed freely among them, knitting their hearts closer together. For the first time this week, Jake felt a sense of hope lightening the load he'd been carrying. Yet the thought of looming uncertainties lingered. And soon enough, they would have to face them. Jake pushed aside his worries about Clara's condition, tapping into the warmth blossoming in the room. Today was a step toward revitalizing their lives, a chance to reconnect not just in care but in joy. As the hours passed, and laughter filled the room like a warm embrace, They followed through with their plans: grilled vegetables, flavorful quinoa patties, and the small acts of love decorating their meal. Clara's hand shook slightly as she helped in preparation, but each involvement gave her strength. "See? This isn't so bad," she said, her voice melodic with newfound confidence. Jake watched her transform, his heart swelling with pride at the resurgence of her spirit. When the food was ready, they gathered around the small table in the room, adorned with cheerful fruits and vibrant plates of goodness. Clara looked at Jake and Mia, a radiant glow enveloping her. "Thank you both for this. I didn't think I could feel this way again, just from food." "This is just the beginning," Jake said softly, beaming at her. Their discussions flowed seamlessly, and even amid concerns about Clara's health, they spoke of cherished family memories associated with favorite meals, invoking laughter with every shared story. Then, as the conversation shifted from fond recollections to the present, Jake noticed Clara's demeanor change. The smile hesitated, uncertainty creeping back into her eyes. "What if my health is scarier than we think?" Her voice trembled slightly, the weight of her fear surfacing. "Mom," Jake began, extension of courage surging through him. "Whatever we face, we'll face it together. You're not alone." "I know," she replied, wiping away a tear and replacing it with a smile. "I'm grateful to have you both." And in that moment, a quiet pact formed, a promise unspoken yet vividly felt. They would embrace moments of joy, even when shadows of fear lurked nearby. With every twist of fate, they would weave resilience into the fabric of their bond. But as Clara's eyes shone with hope, Jake felt a shiver of resolve settle in his bones. Discussions about nutritional changes would be mere patches unless they addressed the heart of Clara's health. "We should meet with a specialist," he suggested. "A thorough understanding can help us make sense of everything." To build on our momentum, Mia nodded, "Yes. It's important to know how your body is responding to what you're eating. It'll make the journey purposeful." Clara breathed slowly, considering their words. "Okay, let us do it. If you're both with me, I'll face it head on." "Definitely," Jake affirmed, feeling fierce compassion swell in his chest. "We'll make those appointments together." As they began clearing the table, a newfound sense of unity radiated around them. The urgency of the situation simmered momentarily, overshadowed by shared laughter and plans for healthy meals. But soon enough, staring outside at the world beyond the hospital window reminded Jake of time slipping past them. They still had battles to confront. Would this be enough to safeguard his mother's health? As those questions lurked in the back of his mind, clarity welled within him. Knowledge could give his mom the fighting chance she deserved. The trio left the hospital room that evening with plans forming, hopeful resolutions woven tightly together. The stakes were high. But as Jake looked at Clara and Mia, the warmth of their connection ignited something powerful. He devoted himself to the journey ahead. Each step they took together would be a testament to love, resilience, and the undeniable strength of family. There was a spark of bravery growing inside him, a belief that they could rewrite the future together, one meal and heartfelt conversation at a time. And just as they stepped into the bright corridor, a sense of triumph tinged the air, affirming the undeniable ties that bound them. They were standing strong, ready for the challenge. Bursting into laughter as they walked, Jake held on tightly to the belief that love would illuminate the path forward. He vowed silently that from this moment on, they would always face together whatever was waiting. A journey of health, healing, and transformation was blooming before them, and nothing could dull that shine. So, the time had come for Jake to act on that promise to himself. He had to share this journey far and wide, drawing others into their story. It was about facing fears, embracing hope, and letting every voice be heard. And with that thought in mind, he knew he had to do something to rally their growing community of support. The moment felt right. He pulled out his phone and typed furiously, "Hey everyone. I'm on a journey with my mom, to explore dietary changes for her health. Let us share ideas, recipes, and support each other on this transformative path. Join me, and together we can create something great. Sending it off with a deep breath, Jake grinned widely. This was just the beginning of their adventure, and he couldn't wait to see what lay ahead. The urgency of the moment was palpable, and he felt the sun shining brighter than ever, illuminating the most beautiful of possibilities. Together, they would thrive. The world was watching, and change was about to unfurl. Now let your voice be heard. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss any stories as inspiring as this one, filled with transformation. Leave a like right now to give the algorithm some love. Comment below your thoughts about this beautiful journey, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this emotional ride. Join the community, and let's embark on this incredible journey together, hand in hand.